Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. Look, I am going to start calling Politics Done Right. What is it going to be called? I think we're going to have to call it Medicare for All Central. And let me tell you what I mean by that. Because there's so much happening, and this is so existential for so many people that we cannot allow the misinformation, not only from the right wing, not only from organizations designed to corrupt the narrative about Medicare for all, but from purported progressives. Today, the person that we are going to initially talk about today is El Señor Michael Bennet, Senator from Colorado. And already I'm getting pushback from Democrats. Oh, you're creating dissension within the Democratic Party by doing that. You are creating suppose he is he is a person that somehow Democrats bring out at a primary. You would have, and people like you would have destroyed this guy, and they'll be able to use everything that you said against this other Democrat. I said early on that I would not campaign or talk negatively about any Democrat in the primaries. But I also said I absolutely will not lie on issues and will not keep quiet on issues that will materially affect. When I say materially affect, I mean materially affect the well-being of our citizens. That's not what Politics Done Right is all about. That is not what any program that purports to support the poor, the middle class, that purports to say that we are doing what is necessary to ensure that our people are supported, that our people are taken care of, and that we stop this thing where politicians simply come and use people at the times of election and then throw them completely to the dogs. We are no longer going to allow that. We cannot allow that. People have paid too much. They placed a whole lot of faith in President Obama. President Obama did the best he could with Medicare for all because he had all the headwinds, and the headwinds didn't come from the Republicans solely. And in fact, when you hear a Republican say, "Remember, we were not the ones who gave you the bad parts of the Affordable Care Act. It was your own." Republicans are absolutely correct. Now, I'm not defending them because they didn't want to give you anything. They didn't want to provide any sort of assistance, or they didn't want to provide any morality within our healthcare system at all. But they are correct when they specifically tell us that the reason we are in the basket, the reason we are the basket case that we are today is in fact because of Democrats who didn't want to go far enough because they were hot by the insurance company. So don't sit back there and just think, oh, we are so pure. We are not. And it's high time, especially in these times where people are going bankrupt, where the healthcare system is kicking their butts, where people are suffering in silence. And that is what we know how to do very well in this country. We know how to suffer in silence. Your neighbor may be going through things. Something horrendous happened on my street in a place you would never expect it. We had a murder-suicide 5 houses down. We don't know the pain those people were going through or for what. We don't really know. But what I'm saying, we are so good. We are so good at suffering in silence. No mas. Let's go ahead, folks, and bring it all out. Let's go ahead and start sharing our pain. Let's go on out and letting people know that we are all in this same boat together. There's nothing anybody in this country needs to sit back and be ashamed about because of what things have applied to. Nothing. That is what they use against us. They use the suffering in silence. They use shame. They use trying to divide by folks being better than others, and then they use all kinds of calculated speech to put you in your place. Let's stop it. Let's be who we need to be. Let's be who we must be. Folks, it is our job to do that. It is our job to do that. So what is the program going to be about today? Today we have a very important program, as we do every day. We have an important program every day. The title today is The Attempted Swindle is On. Even centrists have joined the Right Wing Medicare for All attacks. Again, I want to repeat that title. The Attempted Swindle is On. Even centrists have joined the Right Wing Medicare in attacking Medicare for All. Subtitle: We must give every Democratic candidate a chance. Absolutely. I promise that. I said we should do that. Even those that we look at and say, too central or too centrist, or somehow they just don't fit the bill, or somehow they're Republican light or whatever. Let's give them a chance, because even if there's a conservative Democrat that is running there and that conservative Democrat comes out and says, yes, but I want to pass policies that I can show you materially is going to help everyone, is materially going to make their lives better than it is today, I wouldn't have a problem supporting that person, in as much as they're not as left-wing as I am or as progressive as I am. But if they prove their point and they prove their worth to what they're going to do for our people more than anybody else. In other words, not just talk, but they're really going to do it, and they're honest with what they claim they're going to attempt to do. I'm for that person. But when you come out of the gate swinging, and the swinging that you do sounds exactly like the lies the right wing was saying, or the misinformation or the mischaracterization that the right wing was coming, don't come and ask for support. Don't come and ask for us to be nice to you. And Michael Bennet, with his smooth face and his nice sounding quietness and his tonality of, oh, I really care for you, came out as a Medicare for All hatchet man. And it seemed completely driven by the right, by the insurance companies, and elsewhere. And I got hit already on the internet for saying, why are you coming out so hard on this guy? Because, there are a lot of folks out there. I mean, Klobuchar is not for Medicare for All. But Klobuchar, you know what Klobuchar said? So far that I've read, I've heard Klobuchar say, well, I don't think it's realistic. It's not that I'm against it, but I don't think I can get it passed, and I want to start from things that I can do, which is a wrong attitude to take, in my opinion. I think you go big, and then you negotiate backwards, right? You start with absolutely everything that you want, and then you back off where you need to. But she's already backed off. But she didn't come out and try to give it a negative assessment. From what I've read thus far, I could be wrong. I'm sure people will be quick to correct me. But this guy came out swinging. So let's go ahead and start the program. We must give every Democratic candidate a chance, but we must expose any right-wing tactics used on Medicare for All and other progressive policies immediately and put our support for them at risk. In other words, Michael Bennet, you just entered the race. Know that we will do. Those of us in this progressive media base will do our best to make sure everybody is enlightened about what you represent. We will make sure of that, El Señor. We will make sure of that. Because we cannot, and we're going to get into the program proper here, but what I do need to do, folks, is try to express to you all that this isn't some swing attack on some Democrat that I don't like because they don't support my ideology or anything like that. That's not what this is all about at all. Because there are 20-something Democrats running, and I only care about 4 of them. Okay? I really only care about 4 of them or so. I could be wrong as far as how many, but I think it's about 4 of them that I care about. But the issue, my friends, is you cannot allow yourselves to be deceived. We cannot allow ourselves to be deceived anymore. I got a video I want to show you guys, but before I show the video, I have to get a share here on the network here. So bear with me 1 second as I continue to preempt the video. What I want to tell you guys is we cannot allow this to continue. We cannot allow this to happen because it is a clear and present danger to us all if we don't hit this right away. It is a clear and present danger to your family. It's a clear and present danger to your friends. It's a clear and present danger to everyone. And we cannot allow it in the least, my friends. So here we go. What I'm going to do is, actually, let me go ahead and read the program, the start of the program, and then I'm going to do the video. Here it goes. The plutocracy is in panic. They're in panic. Medicare for All has gained traction. Do you remember when Hillary Clinton attempted the first crack at healthcare reform? The healthcare industrial complex launched a very believable ad that brainwashed Americans into believing, into thinking any kind of universal healthcare would hurt them. Oh, Louise, we can't do that anymore because that big bad government is going to stop that from occurring to you. Never did it say that the insurance companies as they operate today will stop you. They are the ones who govern you. They govern you based on being able to make a profit for some shareholders and to pay high executive bills. The government, when it's a single payer system, does no such. The industry was less effective under President Obama because he effectively co-opted them. Obama did not even attempt fighting for Medicare for all. The industry was a part of the process and got even richer in the process. That is a trade-off that Obama did. Obama said, okay, I'm going to get you guys on board. You know how I'm going to get you guys on board? I'm going to pay you off. You know how we paid you off? That medical exchange that we have there, that everybody got covered with the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act. The Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act is the payoff to the insurance companies because it meant that everybody, the government was paying that several $1,000s for every single American citizen who was going to get insurance. But then, of course, you had some states that said, we don't even want that. We want to kill more of our people. We care more about ideology than the lives of our people. So our pro-life is only for, we are not a pro-life party. We are a pro-fetus party. So what they did is they fought it. So states like Texas and others decided that they would rather murder several of their citizens before allowing ideology, Obama's ideology, or Obama and the insurance company's ideology to reign over their state. That is what they did. Anyhow, so Obama made a deal with them. The industry was part of the process and got even richer in the process. In effect, Obama made a deal to enrich them further with tax dollars, and their give was to ensure everyone, no questions asked. They insured everyone, no questions asked, in the states that allowed it. They were left with pricing power, which are those price increases Americans are seeing every year, which meant, in as much as it started in sort of a good place, not the best, but it started in a good place, because Obama left them with pricing power. It meant that they would continue their pilfer. It meant they will continue ripping you off. And it's not only the insurance companies, because that's one-sided. If I really just looked at the insurance companies, they just meant that they were going to continue making their profits, and they're going to continue growing irrespective, so they could give their shareholders an ever-increasing growth in income. In other words, they didn't provide any new services, they didn't provide anything new, but their insurance companies were going to get richer. But also the drug companies wanted the same deal. So everybody had pricing power except you, and they just raised the prices and they just took everything that you could get. You get a raise, I take it from you. You got an increase in salary, I take it from you. Because they had pricing power. Remember how it works, folks, and we'll go over that sometime, and necessarily people decide to call in on that as well. Anyhow, so now that Medicare for All has traction, now that most Americans want this kind of coverage, there is a new organization that is caught and ready to shoot, and it has already shot at Medicare for All. The Partnership for America's Healthcare Future, PAHCF, has started its misinformation campaign. It started the Thelma and Louise type misinformation. And they have presidential candidates like Michael Bennet as their stooges. Now, I don't know if Michael Bennet ever spoke to them, but he didn't have to. He didn't have to speak to them. Just listen. Just listen to good old Democratic Brother Bennet. This is the person who says he has something better for you. But when I do the blog of the week, we're going to see how much better that is for you. Here it is.
My suggestion on Medicare X that creates a true public option administered by Medicare rather than threatening to take away insurance from 180 million people, 80% of whom like it, all the unions in America that have negotiated for their health care plans. I mean, I think that the American people have waited long enough for universal health care.
Some are talking about Medicare for all. Would you support that approach?
I don't support that approach. If what you're talking about is the legislation that Bernie Sanders has in the Senate, that would take insurance away from 180 million people who get it through their employer, 80% of whom like it. It would take insurance away from every labor union in America that's negotiated a health care plan, and it would cost $30 trillion. I have a bill with Tim Kaine called Medicare X that would create a true public option for the American people. This gives the American people a choice. It doesn't force them into a plan. It gives them an option, and it creates competition for private insurance, starting in rural areas, as I said. I think that's much closer to where the American people are than wanting to have the government take over the entire healthcare system.
Now, did you hear that? The government, which Democrat would ever go out there and use the words for Medicare for all, the government takeover of healthcare? You know, government takeover of healthcare would be what we have with the NHS in England, National Health Service in England, which, you know what, I am for. Personally, I am for that. I am for, a doctor has to spend, my daughter's in med school. By the time she gets out of med school, she's going to be $500,000 in debt. Okay? I paid for her undergrad, and then I did this, so she has to pay for her medical degree. Now, I don't think we should ask doctors to have to come up with that kind of money to be doctors, because they have to recover that, but they have to pay that back to the bankers, the masters in our economy. The people who rip us all off, the bankers are going to lend them that, and then they have to pay a whole ton of interest, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So no, I would be for an NHS type thing, because you know what? There are British people who call into this show who would tell you they love the services of the NHS. So what if, it is if you have emergency, you're well taken care of. Again, England is to one extreme where the government handles everything, hospitals, doctors, everything, and it works. You do not see British people coming over here and saying, oh, I just have to have an operation that I can't have in England. Now, if you're wealthy and you don't want to wait a couple of months for a knee surgery, if for some reason there's a backlog in your area, you may do that but who cares, right? Right now in America, we have insurance imposed waits. But beforehand, I want to talk about that video. So that's what I did for the blog of the week. So folks, do you know what time it is?
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Okay, the weekly blog post goes like this. The title is Democratic Presidential Candidate Senator Michael Bennet is a Medicare for All hatchet man. And for those that gave me a hard time for giving Mr. Bennet a hard time, for this, I am a very civil person. When I talk to individuals, I make sure to be civil. But when I find somebody that's hurting humanity, when I find people that are hurting our people, when I find people that are less than humane, you can't say these things and say you value people when you are looking out for the plutocracy first and foremost. You cannot say that you're out for the people, my brothers and sisters. So here it goes. Senator and recent Democratic candidate Michael Bennet has been making the national TV rounds disparaging Medicare for All using right-wing talking points. He recently attacked it on Morning Joe, where he called it a government takeover of healthcare, which it is not, though it would not be a bad thing given its success in many industrialized countries. This morning, he appeared, meaning yesterday, on Meet the Press with Chuck Todd and continued his disingenuous criticism. The video clip includes that I just showed you, point out quite a bit of those. So which right-wing talking points did Bennet use against Medicare for All? Which ones did he use? It would take insurance away from 180 million Americans. False. Everyone would be insured, and in the aggregate, it would be better insurance since there would be no deductibles, no co-pays, no anything, no medicine charge, nothing. All of us pay our Medicare or our health insurance through our taxes, and then we are insured. The government is a sole person paying a bill, and they pay a bill. So there is no 180 million people that are somehow uninsured. And the other fallacy about that is he came out and he said in the video, 180 million Americans have private insurance and they love their insurance. You show me somebody who really loves their insurance, or show me somebody who they say they love their insurance, and then you show them, well, you know, what about if you just had to go into the doctor with a card and you didn't have to sit down and fill out all the paperwork, and if you had an emergency, you didn't have to have somebody hounding you, do you have insurance, what's your policy, and you had to have a whole lot of people in the back room making calls to insurance companies to see if you're covered for this or covered for that, or somehow while you're at the hospital, some doctor who is not in network took care of you, even though you told them, hey, I only take care of in-network doctors, and you get a $5,000 bill because that in-network, the out-of-network doctor gets nothing from your insurance. Look, you go ahead and ask those 180 million Americans if they would prefer that over an insurance policy where you just have a plastic card. Whenever you need health care, you go in with the plastic card and use it, and you have health care. So when he characterizes that to the American people, he's trying to poison the well. For the less informed American citizens, what do you think they're going to say? The less informed American citizen is going to say, oh, he wants to take away my insurance, and it's only 20 million people that get Obamacare. So, you know, why is he going to screw with 180 million people when it's only 20 million people on Obamacare and another 47 million people without health care? He shouldn't hurt 180 million people for that 60, 70, 80 million people that are in dire straits. Get it, folks. That statement alone is evil, because it makes 180 million people believe somebody is trying to take something good away from them and give them something less good. And what we're really doing is giving you something much better than what you have, because Medicare for All, as expressed in Pramila Jayapal's bill, is much better than anything any company is giving you. And don't forget, anyway, every year you change insurance, or you're asked if you want to move around, or the company gets a better deal with some other insurance company. So this stuff about it being disruptive because everybody's going to have to change, it's a lie. It is going to be disruptive in the back end. It's going to be very disruptive in the back end. It's going to be disruptive for all the healthcare people who are going to lose their jobs, but the bill covers them as well. So it's a lie. And it's a lie that will make people not want it. And if it's a lie that makes people not want it and we don't get it, it means that even what we're talking about what he wants in a little bit. The next statement he make, it'll take insurance away from every labor union in America. Come on, people. The labor unions only had to have insurance to make deals where they didn't get wages. Now we eliminate insurance out of the equation. We put healthcare where it belongs, outside of the job market, so that the jobs will have to pay what's due you. Right now, there's a lot of people not getting raises because instead of giving you a raise, what your job has to do is pay a higher premium for you. So in effect, you are getting a raise. It's just all taken by the insurance company. Price and power, the insurance company is saying, I can take more from you because company X is paying you more, and I'm going to take what company X just started to pay you. That is how it works. It's thievery. It is thievery. You got price and power. If you don't use price and power ethically, you are a thief, and that's what they do. Next thing he says, it would cost $30 trillion. That is very misleading. While taxes will go up, premiums, copays, and deductibles go away, ensuring that most who pay insurance today will have more income in their pockets because it's going to be progressive. If you make a little bit of money, you pay a little bit for health care. You make average money, you pay average for health care. You make a ton of money, you pay a ton of money for health care. And you know why? Because you made that ton of money on everybody else's back. To be honest, you didn't go out there and work for that money. Bezos didn't. Bezos had an idea. I had an idea how to drop the RTS signal with a UART that couldn't do it. And my idea was a great idea for a computer that couldn't do the job, that nobody thought could do the job. You know, I wasn't a capitalist businessman that could say, let me patent that procedure on the 8051 chip, on the 8059 chip, so that nobody else could use that procedure. I own the technique that I developed using those interrupt signals on that chip that nobody else thought about doing it. And for the longest time, my product was the only product doing that. That was a great idea by me. And did I make millions that I could have on it? No, because it wasn't worth it. It wasn't ethical. I had a good idea. 1 million people could have had that good idea. But what makes it that one idea that I had that worked with a chip somebody else developed would have determined that I should make infinite money on that? But that's how a lot of those greedy capitalists feel. They have a great idea, one click on how to shop, and all the money goes to them forever and ever, amen. That's not how a society should operate. Because the great idea that I had, if I were to have to split that out, I would have to say, oh yeah, but I went to the University of Texas where we started programming microcontrollers, and I learned all about microcontrollers at the University of Texas. And guess what? Every Texan who invested money in taxes actually invested in that great university that gave me that great knowledge that somehow later on I could put and add them all up together to create this great product. And now that I've created this great product, it's all mine. It's all mine. You see, that is what we've learned. We've learned how to just be me, 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 me. I did it. I did it. No, you did not. And until you learn that your success is never based on you. In fact, a lot of it may not even be based on you. It's based on the whole path that you had toward that success. And as such, you should be humble. As such, you should be humble. So that $30 trillion that it's going to cost, and I'm telling the wealth is going to pay a whole lot more. Yes, they will, and they deservedly should. Because the wealth that they have is on the backs of others. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Secondly, or the last topic, it's a government takeover of healthcare. False. I would love it to be a government takeover of healthcare. That's what I would want. But we probably won't get there anytime soon in America, because it's just not, we don't see government the way I see government. I see government as, I am really a constitutionalist to some extent. Although I think the men who wrote the Constitution had some too big of flaws to be really considered the way many of them are considered today. But we the people is what I believe. We the people. Government is we the people. So if government took over healthcare, the only thing we're saying is we the people of the United States decided to take care of ourselves. But you know, the Paul Manifesto has taught you not to think about that. The first thing these guys have done is to teach you to decouple government from we the people. That's the first thing they had to do. They had to make it be government. Government is that other thing. Government is that other thing that's no good. Not realizing that if you say government is no good, you're saying you are no good. We, the people, are no good. That is what it's saying. And that is where we have to get. So one of the things that I have to do with Politics Done Right, and many of us that are doing this, is we have to rebuild the confidence in government, and not only rebuild the confidence in government, but ensure that those who are serving us in government are actually serving us in government. You know, we have in Harris County, we just got a new voting system where we can vote anywhere in the county, make it a whole lot more efficient. And I left a Facebook notice for Diane Trotman, who is the voter the county clerk here in Harris County, who did all of that. And one of the messages that I told her, it is great to see an elected official who love what they're doing, who believe in government, and who believe government should work. Because she went out there, she made changes along with her staff. She would always tell you, it's my staff. I am doing this with my staff. I have great people working for me. But that's what it's all about. Diane Trotman, I want to give Diane Trotman a shout out. Because Diane Trotman, right here in Harris County, who's our county clerk, goes ahead and she changes up our voting system to make it much more efficient, to make it much easier for everybody who wants to vote. She got all the laws passed, she got the approvals, and got it done. The first few months that she got elected, she got it done. First election completed last week, full and entire success. If you believe in government, and you want to run government, you're going to make sure it runs effectively. Nobody should be electing Republicans to govern. They said government is no good. They don't like government. If you don't like government and you don't believe in government, you shouldn't be in government. But anyway, let's continue now. Michael Bennet is doing the dirty work of the insurance company by proposing Medicare X. You know, he had to put that Medicare in it. Again, all of this is a foolery. All of this is to confuse Americans, okay? Because you're going to see the insurance companies coming with some sort of tacit support now for Medicare X. Watch. The insurance company is going to love Medicare X now because it keeps them alive. It keeps them with the pilfer. So here's it. Michael Bennet is doing the dirty work of the insurance company by proposing Medicare X, which is less disruptive but allows insurance companies to continue ripping off the American people by profiting from denying services. Moreover, it remains a bifurcated service. While Medicare for All is more disruptive, once it's normalized, it's the most seamless system possible as seen in many other countries whose citizens are amused by America's troglodyte form of healthcare. According to Vox, Medicare X would allow all Americans to buy a public health insurance plan. The plan would pay doctors the same prices that Medicare currently does, and it would allow patients to be seen at the offices of hospitals that Medicare has in network. But it would have a different benefit package from the public program that covers Americans over age 65. In other words, here we go, bifurcation again, complication. The Medicare X plan would cover things like that Medicare does not, such as pediatrics and maternity care. Why do they add that? Because Medicare was only for older folk who don't get pregnant, who don't need maternity, all that kind of stuff. So they still had to make it plausible and look similar somehow to Medicare for All, but somehow keep the insurance companies around to rip you off. Bennett and Kane envisioned the Medicare X plan growing slowly. Notice that? Growing slowly. In 2020, what does it mean when something grows slowly? It means that just like how they ripped up Obamacare in a lot of pieces, that is the intent here. After the emotions of Medicare for All has passed, we can start back screwing all over again. It would become available, let's repeat that. Bennett and Kane envisioned, it was also Kane that support this bill. Bennet and Kane envisioned the Medicare X plan growing slowly in 2020. It would become available only in counties with 1 or 0 health plans selling on the Obamacare marketplace. So here's a catch, and that I want you guys to see the trickery here. Listen closely. It would become available only in counties with 1 or 0 health plans on the Obamacare marketplace. Why? Check out what do you think is going to happen. Okay, so every insurance company is going to look at an area now and says, okay, let's see if that area is somewhat profitable. We are going to run back in there. Why are we going to run back in there? Because we don't want the government taking it over, because they may like it. So they're giving the insurance company an out already for the first few years, so that they just have to run to those counties that don't have insurance and jump and start supporting it. Think about, I want you to think, when they come up and write these laws, right, they don't tell you specifically that they're writing it for the insurance company and to ensure that the insurance companies or all these other companies always win. The words never say it. You have to go behind the words. I want to read that again to show you the trickery. Bennet and Kane envisioned the Medicare X plan growing slowly in 2020. It would become available only in counties with 1 or 0 health plans selling on the Obamacare marketplace. That is a loophole. A lot of people don't immediately see it. That is a loophole, because what that does is it gives the insurance companies an in to prevent the Medicare X bill from even taking effect for the first few years. Continuing, it says, the health plan selling on the Obamacare market. In 2013, it would open the entire country, and in 2024, allow small businesses to enroll too. Senator Tim McCain, one of the sponsors, say he could foresee a future where large employers are also allowed to buy into the plan. That is not included in the current version of the plan. Notice that? Oh, it's not in the current plan. But I can see that later on. We may add it. Medicare X and single payer represent distinctly different views of the future of American healthcare and what role the federal government ought to play. Medicare X fits neatly into the system that exists right now. Why do you want to create a system that fits neatly into the system we have right now? Why? We have a broken system. Why would you want to fit it nicely into our system? You see, play with words. First of all, I showed you from what they're talking about, how they're allowing the insurance company to continue to dictate. And secondly, by making a statement that, they want you to feel warm and fuzzy. Oh, things won't change all that much from how it is right now. If you're somebody like me, you're saying, but we do want a big change. We do want to have real change. It slots into the Affordable Care Act's marketplace and Medicare's doctors network. Folks, that's not what we want. Remember, many candidates entering the race who are against Medicare for all know they do not stand a chance of winning. They know they do not stand a chance of winning. They are likely there to change the debate rightward with the expectation of future contributions from the healthcare industrial complex and other segments of the plutocracy. What am I saying there, people? What I'm saying is simple. Bennet knows, I'm coming to the phone in a second. Bennet knows he doesn't stand a rat's you-know-what of winning. But he stands a great chance of changing the conversation and changing the debate. And if some of what he says causes the ultimate winner, whether that be Bernie Sanders, the ultimate winner, whether that's be Elizabeth Warren, I can tell you it's not going to be Biden. Biden will fizzle. If it's one of those people, it tries to corner them, it tries to handcuff them. And he would have done his job for the insurance companies. And I can guarantee you somehow, through some super PAC, they will pay him back through his. And by the way, let me just state, because I don't want to be accused of giving false information. I am not saying that is the case. I'm saying that is what can happen. And in my opinion, that is what will happen. Because he's there carrying the water for the insurance companies. Let me go ahead and take the call. I think this is line 314. Come on in, 314.
How you doing?
I am doing fine.
I see where there's still a breath of a spark in the idea of health insurance being covered by government.
Yes,
And I think myself, I've told you, I think it's ridiculous.
I know.
You know, in St. Louis, over the weekend, you had like 15 people get shot.
Okay.
Who pays for their insurance?
Who pays for their insurance? What do you mean?
Yes. Well, they were hauled off to the doctor,
Mm-hmm.
and the ambulance fee is billed to them, which should be.
Right.
But when they go to the hospital and get sewed up and patched up, I think a few of them died.
Mm-hmm.
Well, right now,
What is your proposal?
the parents of the family, I like the way it is. The family pays for the burial.
Mm-hmm.
They have to raise money, some of them, and some of them have paid for life insurance policies. A lot of them have to raise money.
Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted people to pay for the public to pay for them being patched up and sewed up, I guess what's next? Pay for the burial?
Okay, I see where you're coming from, and there's a difference. We have a different philosophy of humanity. Okay, we have a completely different philosophy. First of all, when I look at situations like that, I imagine what you were trying to tell me is these are responsible people who got gunned down, and their behavior caused them to do these things, and then they go to the hospital, and based on me wanting Medicare for all, when they go to the hospital, if they didn't have a job and if they didn't have any work and they hadn't paid any taxes, that somehow we are going to be on the dole patching them up out of everybody else's money. I think that's sort of where you're going. Is that correct?
Not only there, but when these men get killed, they have
let's stick
kids.
Let's stick with the health care first.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Who's going to pay for it? Because if they get killed, then the mother is going to want to go to the government to get money to raise the
You're
child.
correct.
Who's paying for all these things?
Let me ask you this, because I want. Here's what I want to do with you, my friend. I think this is Bianchi. This sounds like Bianchi.
This is Bianchi. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Here's what are you proposing? Because I'm going to get into a litany after you, because I want you to tell me what you're proposing. That is the current state of society right now. What are you proposing should happen?
Well, I tell you this. This is what I propose. Just like I do with people that's homeless, people that's hungry. Let the churches have the privilege to go out and raise money, fund food, clothes. Let the churches take care of that. Let them come up with a way,
Why the churches?
Financial way.
Why the churches?
Yes.
No, I'm asking you why. I don't
Because
understand why.
The churches is operating under the ability to collect money and not be responsible for paying taxes for it. But see, I have to go out and work, and I pay taxes on my money that I would make. Then they want me to turn around and pay for these health costs, these medical costs that I just got through describing. Why should I have to pay for that? My humanity goes to my family first and foremost. If I have something I want to contribute to the church that's providing food, that's providing homes, that's providing, if they want to get into the case of sewing up people and patching them up, then if I want to contribute to that, I contribute to it.
And that's a philosophy, right? I mean, you can live by that tenet if you want to. I mean, and if you get elected officials who believe in that macabre kind of a world, that is fine. We just have to all agree on that. I am fighting for a different kind of world, but I wanted to see to what extent you would just say just let them die or let them rot on the ground, or if nobody if no church decided to pick them up or whatever, just let them stay there or bleed out. Or is that where we're at with you, sir?
Well, that's where it should be.
Okay,
it's not that there was a case in New York where you had a group of citizens that was displeased with the length of time it took for the ambulance to get to a person that's went through a situation of like what we described, a shooting and so on, so on, so on. So they got tired, and so what they doing, They bought their own ambulance and picked the people up and took them to the hospital. That solved the problem for those who cared about the problem. They didn't say, well, let's put a tax out and tax everybody
I get it.
to start a separate entity.
I got you. And you know something? That is one philosophy. And that is a legitimate philosophy. I actually think it's an immoral philosophy. But I mean, it's fine. If that's what you believe, and if you get enough Americans to support that, that is what we would have. Now, I want to take another call, Bianchi. Stay on the line with me because I want to...
And wait a minute, I'm going to say this real quick and I'm going to leave.
Okay.
I think it's immoral to try to make people pay for other folks' ill will.
But I'm paying
rather
for you.
than take care of their own.
I've paid so
That's
much for... I know, Bianchi, let me just say one thing, my brother. That's fine.
That's my philosophy.
And that's fine. Don't go yet because I want to say one thing. There is so much Egberto Willies in the taxes that he's paid over the years have done that a few pennies of it has gone to you and not me because of how you decided to live your life. Remember that. You see, whenever we sit back and think that, well, it's only those people that have these kinds of sins that do these kinds of things, that the working person, the millionaire like Bianchi is taken care of, it's a lot deeper than that. But I'm going to go into that after you because you said you had to leave. I just wanted to give you your voice. Because
well, I don't want to take up no more of your time because I'm not paying for it. See, but I don't want to impose myself on you. This is your show. You pay for it.
Hey, listen.
Just like I don't want people imposing on me to pay their medical bills.
Brother, you are my invited guest. You can choose to hang up or not, but you are my invited guest. I can take 50 people online at one time, so that's not a problem. But let me go to the other caller. You can choose to stay or you can choose to go, but I always have you like to have my folks around. All right, let's see. Line number 979, I think. Come on in. 973. 973. Come on in.
Hey, what's up, Egberto?
I am fine. Who am I speaking to?
Johnny.
Hey, Johnny. How you doing, brother?
This is Johnny.
Yes.
I'm well. I just had to call in to chastise your previous caller. I think one of the problems that I have with so many of the things that he says is that he really has reduced the complexity of our society to an oversimplified, socially engineered, foolish statement. To take the complexities of our healthcare system and the socially engineered destruction of the black community and reduce it to him not wanting to pay taxes for somebody else. How dare that man? Does he get to say what wars we fight in? My people built this country for free. And then this guy wants to sit there and chastise black kids for getting shot and then say, who's paying for it? You know what? We're all paying for it.
Right.
And yes, I would love for our country to replace the system that is currently in place where black people are a caste system where we're not even allowed to leave this country because we serve the purpose of being at the bottom of the pyramid so that everyone else can prosper. Because at the end of the day, what capitalism is, it is a redistribution of wealth away from the black community and to the white community. In other words, if black people tried to leave, like I believe it was Marcus Garvey that actually bought boats and put them at the New York docks and was getting black people ready to leave, and they sunk the boats and said black people were not allowed to leave. So I would just remind that foolish guy that first off, he needs to read some books.
One thing though,
like
Johnny. One thing we try to do on Politics Done Right, we try not to name call because I like to keep people and have respect.
I'm not name calling anybody, Egberto. I'm just saying he needs to read a little bit more. That's not fair. No, it's not fair to take our issues. Yes. He has to read more. He has to educate himself more because what he's doing is he's taking, and this is a great Republican trick. My Republican friends love taking complex issues and reducing them down to these really simplistic slogans that really work on people's great. Because I'm going to tell you something. If you look at countries like Sweden and Finland where the countries are homogenous, everything changes. Once the countries become homogenous, everything, all of a sudden healthcare is universal. Even how people are policed, it's nicer and kinder. Now you don't want to put people in, now all of a sudden drug issues aren't criminal, they're healthcare issues, so people, instead of putting them in prison, you put them in healthcare facilities. So the whole thing changes, and what I'm trying to say is that at the disgusting part of this country, the disgusting part is that all these years later, it still comes down to these issues of race. And that so much of American identity has been created off the backs of denying black people opportunities, access, and wealth.
First of all, Johnny, what you said is absolutely true. I hope I have some time to go into this further because like I said, I first do complete listening, and I try to put myself see through the eyes of the person who is speaking. When I'm listening to you, I'm listening through your eyes. When I'm listening to Bianchi, I'm listening through Bianchi's eyes, and then I respond. So I'm going to bring Bianchi.
Thank you. You're right, and I appreciate you for doing that.
And I'm going to bring Bianchi back in, but I want to say something profound after Bianchi is done. Come on in, Bianchi.
Well, as I said before, see, here's the thing. You had blacks that was doing and taking advantage of the opportunities in this country from the 1600s through 1865. Boo-too businesses in all area. All blacks was not slaves. To say that blacks built the country is really stretching it, because there's areas in the industry. Are you being
serious right now? Come on, Bianchi. Come on. Yes.
Listen. Hang on. Wait a minute. Let me say first. Let me say something. I know more about black history than you do. If you recognize my name, you know where I come from.
I don't.
And I'm saying that no, they did not build totally this country. What did blacks have to do with the railroads? That changed the transcontinental railroad.
The value and the wealth of the entire country was in the body of black people.
Wait a minute, hang on. I sat back and listened to him.
They worth more than the railroad.
And he cut over me.
Go
now
ahead.
you need to mute him.
No. Wait a second. First of all, my show, my friend. I can talk to all my people at one time.
I'll see you later.
No. Stay. Why would you do that? Did you go? He left.
Because he doesn't want to deal with the fact that he doesn't have command of the issues or the facts. And unfortunately for him, we have far too many people that want to sit up there and come on this wonderful radio show of yours and then talk in such a simplistic way as if nobody else can figure out what they're really trying to say.
I really wanted.
He's really trying. He's one of these people that actually believes that the government doesn't have a role in the creation of our society. And he's one of these people that thinks that you can actually create wealth without having the protection of the government. If the government does not protect you and the wealth that you are attempting to create, it will be taken from you. And I can show you from a historical standpoint where this has happened in Oklahoma, this has happened in Florida. Mm-hmm. So even if there was a situation where blacks were allowed to create wealth without the protection of the government, it's going to be taken from you, just like the voting right.
Yeah,
and I'll let you go with that. Just like how our voting rights are not protected.
Right. Bianchi,
but thank you for taking my call, and I wasn't trying to be confrontational.
No,
I'm very sorry about that.
No, Johnny. Let me tell you, first of all, not a problem. I hope Bianchi calls back. Bianchi, if you're still listening, call back. I want to continue the conversation with you. What happened is Bianchi has that Republican philosophy, and I have relatives with that Republican philosophy as well.
I'm a Republican too.
Right, and
I'm a Republican too, and guess what? And I'm a physician,
right.
So I get to patch up the mistakes that our society makes. I see it every day.
Right, and you're right. And what I try to do though, Johnny, is why I tell you I listen through somebody else's eyes is that mentality that Republicans have given to their people, right? It is so well orchestrated and it's so well designed psychologically that you don't get to Bianchi by I will never get to Bianchi by my words. I will get to Bianchi through Bianchi's eyes. And that is how I've been working with Bianchi over the last several weeks that he calls into the show, because he does believe what he's he does believe the things that he's saying. So I can't argue with somebody I respect somebody who believes what they're saying. The people that I don't respect are those who don't believe what they're saying. So what I try to do is walk you out of where you're at. Because here's the deal. What Bianchi says, if you cut it by those irresponsible black kids getting shot up and asking everybody else to pay the bill when you patch them up, that sounds rational, right? But then I go back, I move back a step further, and if Bianchi had stayed on the line, what I would have told Bianchi is Bianchi, but let's remember, why is it that those black kids in those neighborhoods are shooting up themselves? And then I would have backed up a bit further.
Exactly.
And then I would have said, okay, what socioeconomic issues within our own government and society created that problem? And we'll keep backing up. And you know who have done that kind of analysis? Let me finish. Hold on.
Let me just jump in real quick.
No, I need to finish this. I need to finish this real quick. I need to finish this part real quick. This is important, Johnny. the way that we get to this point is, if you take a look at the difference in the way crack was handled and the way the opioids are handled, one with humanity, one with animalistic behaviors, okay? You see what we're talking about here. So eventually I would have brought into the picture how society itself creates a lot of these problems, and as such, we as a society are responsible for the outcomes of what we've created. Go ahead, Johnny.
And I would also just simply add that I feel like Bianchi is, on one point, what he's doing is, and I do this too, we're buying into the cultural myths of this country, such as hard work will set you free. And by the way, in Auschwitz, they understood that one of the ethos of the Jewish community is to work hard. So when they put the extermination camp together for Auschwitz, they put on there, work will set you free, as a way of slapping Jews in the face for their ethos, for the idea that hard work will make things right for you. And they work because that's how they built their communities.
Right.
And so they did that as an extra slap in the face to destroy not only the people, but the ethos.
It was a mindset.
And see, what he doesn't understand, and it was a mindset. And so you have to understand that part of what's happening in this country, and remember, when we tried to leave America, when Marcus Garvey went and bought boats for American blacks to leave, they wouldn't let us leave.
I want you to know, Johnny, you just taught me that, okay?
This thing has been socially engineered.
You just taught me that lesson. I didn't know that. I didn't know that story. You just taught me that.
Oh, yes. Marcus Garvey, because remember, you got to remember, Garvey and Dubois were going back and forth about where we were going. And this is in the early 1920s when Woodrow Wilson was the president. He was a monster at my alma mater, by the way.
Right.
And so I just want to say that as we move forward, when we look at our institutions like University of Texas or my alma mater,
right.
How much of the money that is in the endowment came from slavery?
A lot, and that is when
every institution is infected.
Right, and the problem with when Bianchi talks about what that the country wasn't built on black folks at all. What he doesn't take and yes, you can bring that the Trans-Pacific Railroad was built by the Chinese and all these other things. All of that is true, but the core of the South was in fact built on the back of black people. And if the core of the South, cotton, was built on black people, it means the industrial Northeast with all the processing and commerce was also built on black people's back, because yes, they didn't have slavery, but their commerce was dependent on the slavery. So I mean, look, you have to speak to economists like Richard Wolff, who can go, which I brought onto my show a couple of times, which can go through the numerical analysis on exactly how slavery was the method that got us where we got. And then we migrated into capitalism, and capitalism was just the antiseptic form of slavery. And he gives the idea of
an evolutionary form of it,
actually, that is a better way.
Evolved like you said, from whips and chains.
Exactly.
So now it's nicer and it's more polite.
Exactly.
But the cultural myths still are pervasive.
Exactly.
And these cultural myths are the problem, because I got to tell you, just one last thing. As we go forward and we're moving away from this hard work ethos that the 1950s mindset and the 1950s was built on, we don't need everybody to have jobs now.
Exactly.
This is not a communist country. Not everybody needs a job. What we need are industries to push us forward. All right, Egberto, I'm sorry for taking up all your time.
Johnny, Johnny, I mean, look, I think we had an intelligent, a very good discussion. Look, thank you for calling. You call anytime. And Bianchi, if you're listening, look, what we try to do is come to common ground. Thank you very much, Johnny. Bianchi, if you're still listening, I want you to continue calling the call. I don't like the idea of people dropping off the calls because they're upset or anything like that. But at the same time, I think everybody needs to be respectful. You don't come on to somebody's show and say, go ahead and mute that other person or whatever. We all are in this stuff, and we have to learn how to communicate. And Bianchi, I don't agree with you, but I want to hear you, and I want you to hear me. I want you to hear me, because I think, just as you put seeds in people's heads, I think I can plant a seed in yours and let you do some re-evaluation, and maybe you'll see some of the things, some of the ways some of us progressives see things. Maybe you won't, but I have a hunch that humanity lives within all of us. I'm running late. That took up quite a bit of time. I want to ask folks, please subscribe to Politics Done Right. Go to patreon.com/Politics Done Right. That is patreon.com/Politics Done Right. I didn't get a chance to go to You know what? I'm going to extend the show today for 10 minutes because we had a good discussion, and I'm going to run through those things, run through what we have, maybe 5 minutes or so. But anyway, folks, please go ahead and go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. That is patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Please support the show. We need to get these points across. We need to be able to expose the negative stuff that's happening to us, whether Democrat, Republican, or whatever. And you know, I am a progressive Democrat. But at the same time, I love everybody, Republicans, everybody. We are in this boat together. And like I tell folks, I'm not asking folks to change their party affiliation. What I'm asking folks to do is vote their interests. And when they start voting your interests, you can be a Republican and vote your interests. Because when you go for Medicare for all, when you go for Social Security, when you go for all these different programs that we all support, it knows no party. It knows people, and it knows the needs of people and what you can support. So please go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. You can also go to politicsdoneright.com to provide a contribution to the show to make sure that we stay alive. It's very important. Again, patreon.com/politicsdoneright. If you get our book, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, you'll be able to read it online. And every book that I have, you'll be able to read online. Of course, you know I'm still working on this book, slowly, How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It. And as well, you know, I lost a lot of weight over the years, and now I found out how to keep it off, lose weight, and be fit now. Say no to snake oil weight loss. Folks, please, again, subscribe. I ask you so kindly to patreon.com/politicsdoneright, or go to politicsdoneright.com and give us on PayPal or patreon.com. I can tell you, we do the necessary work. We do the necessary research. If you take a look online at our latest newsletter, I kind of pointed out what I do daily as to bring you this stuff. I try to, a lot of people just go out there and say, oh, okay, we want you to contribute to Politics Done Right, or we want you to contribute to whatever. I want you guys to know out there that we are doing the work. We are doing what's necessary to get this information out there. And it's not only here in Texas. It's not only here in Houston. It's throughout the country. And we travel to make sure, because we are going to make this change not only locally, but we are going to make this change nationally. My name is, I'm going to answer the things on Facebook and YouTube and all of that after the show, because right now I need to shut this baby down. My name is Egberto Willies. You know how I end this bit. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know what, guys? I am what? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
1, 2, 3.